2 years at this rate. Actually, if somebody else could do it that isn't having computer issues, if anyone goes to the Keith Caceres YouTube channel, you should see a live stream pop up on there. If you could share that live stream on into the LVAS Facebook group, that would be awesome, because you're probably going to be able to do that a lot faster than I can. So setting up your webinar for YouTube Live. I imagine the live stream is going to appear within the next 60 seconds here.
Well, while you're doing that, do you want to see my shot of M3 I took a couple weeks ago?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so I guess Antoine's still sharing his screen, so.
Oh, go ahead. I don't know how to turn it off. Oh, there you go.
I think if you share yours, Julian, it would automatically switch
okay,
over.
it'll let me now, yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Julian's got a 16-inch Dob. He's got one of the huge telescopes at our star parties. It's one of the ones that everyone crowds around. You need like a 8-foot ladder to get up to the eyepiece. And usually you wouldn't use those for astrophotography, but with the pandemic, Julian's dabbling in astrophotography now. Is this one when I loaned you my planetary camera, or is this the new camera?
This is with your camera. And it's a stack of 10 images that had some. I had to pre-process them to lighten them up a little bit, and then stack them together. Use the mask to focus with, and it's an Altaz mount, but it does track. But how good does it track? Well, it's not really made for photography, so I can get a couple 5 seconds out of it if the wind's not too strong. Of course, this thing is 8 feet tall. It's like a sail in the wind.
Julian built this telescope. He did everything but grind the mirror. His friend ground the mirror, and he built this telescope. He motorized it and everything.
Oh wow!
Really impressive. If you got a picture of it,
I'm thinking with a real big mirror, I might be able to get some photography. You know, you don't have to have a very long exposure.
Yeah. What's the f6 16-inch mirror?
It's an f6, and I'm using a 0.5 focal reducer, so you get about the same field of view you do with a 20 millimeter eyepiece here.
So yeah, it's like an f3 that you're shooting at with the.
Yeah, but you're only looking at a small bit of the image. You know, you put the 31 millimeter Nagler in there, and it's a whole different ball game. But anyway, I thought you might like that. It's a work in progress, but this is probably the most successful thing I've got with stacking to cut the noise down and
that's
decent
cool.
Focusing.
Alt-Az tracking here, not even equatorial, so that's impressive.
Yeah, and when you stack the images, you can see how they kind of rotate, do the field rotation. Then you crop that part off. Okay.
I've got M13 now.
How do I undo this?
You have to stop sharing the same button you clicked before. Just click it again and unshare.
I don't see it now.
Oh, go to the bottom of the screen. You'll see it. It'll appear once you go down there, and I could actually end it too, I believe.
Oh, maybe it's the top. That's the top of the screen for me. Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I just saw. Oh, it looks like we're going live to YouTube now.
Yep. It's finally getting to go here. And I just got to share this into Facebook.
Didn't do it.
Or somebody could. Let me see if I can actually get to Facebook.
You can't find the share button, Julian?
I click it comes up, but I don't see anything that says unshare. Tell me what to share.
Let me see if I can unshare.
Yeah, you can turn it off if you can.
Stop
Keith.
participant sharing. Yeah, I can do it amazingly.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay, Facebook is drawing itself. If I could just post this link, we'll be good to go.
I'm still learning this Mac stuff. It's
So there's M13 live.
Oh, sweet.
Through the
That's-
clouds, mind you.
Yeah,
Through the haze, yeah. I
that's
can,
probably gonna be my next target with the big Dob. Once it is high enough now, I think I can see it above the mesquite tree. Oh, that's nice. Are you doing a real-time stack?
I'm not doing a stack at all. This is just, if you look in the bottom right, there's 15-second exposures coming in. So it updates every 15 seconds.
Cool.
Oh, okay.
So that's a single 15-second exposure. And I can do a little stretch on it here. And
Well,
well,
why are they progressively getting darker? Oh, maybe
that's because I'm messing with the histogram.
of course, yeah.
Try to get the background a little darker.
Yeah, histogram is you're definitely your friend when it comes to these live images.
There we go.
Yeah, that looks nice. A
I tried doing
million
a li-
stars.
Tried doing the live stacking and it just kept, the exposure just kept blowing out. I don't know if I need to just reduce my exposure time and stack shorter exposures. I could try that. So if I go down to like just 5 seconds here on the exposure and then turn live stack on
Yeah, you could try it.
and see what's happening here. So let's start over. So there's a 5-second exposure. If I stretch the histogram, see if I stretch the histogram, it just blows way out. I don't know enough about, I don't use the live stacking feature in SharpCap, this app, very often.
Right. I used SharpCap with the wife's computer when I first started this, but then she pitched a hissy and wanted it back. The wife's old computer, that is.
Yeah. So that's a 30-second, according to the live stack data down here in the bottom right, left-hand corner, that's a 35-second exposure.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Darken that up a bit. Very low noise. Of course, you're stacking, so.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess SharpCap is the one to use, but from everything I've read, it just does not like Mac.
Yeah, no, I tried.
No, I guess I'm fortunate to have always been a PC guy,
Yeah,
or unfortunate in some
I
circumstances.
cut my teeth on CPM.
Okay, I just posted it using my phone since my phone's not freezing up. And mark that as.
Don't you love this technology? I have a degree in computer science. I don't want to give it back because this crap doesn't work.
I got a computer degree in computer science too. And yeah, technology has a way of sticking it in your eye right at the last second.
I didn't realize how cloudy it got.
Yeah, it really did. It's a shame here.
You still pulling that through the clouds, Greg?
Well, right overhead, it's clear right now. So
Oh, okay.
it's, but I was going to go to, I was going to try to bring in M81 and M82, but that area of the sky is completely socked in with clouds right now.
Yeah, I tried M81 a couple weeks ago, and it was very unimpressive. I tried M51. I couldn't even see the darn thing.
I've got at least another 2 hours before M51 clears my roof, so I can't take a peek at it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
Even as dark as out here in Boulder City, you think you can see more, but there's just so much light pollution around, and I don't have a real good view of the western sky, eastern sky rather, away from Vegas.
Well, you saw my photos earlier of my limited view in the backyard, right?
Yeah.
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 I've got about 20 degrees on either side of the meridian, and that's about it.
Right. Well, that's why we have the truck and the camper.
Yeah.
Get out of Dodge.
So Antoine, I have a question for you, sir.
Yep.
Do you guys, you and your wife, do you guys camp?
No, I want to try so bad. We never camped before, just once, like a long time ago, but we're so bad at, like, what to eat and stuff. Like we should really, like, try camping more.
We should talk offline.
Great.
I've got a spot that I'm going to in August that if you ever go there, you'll never want to image in light polluted skies again.
Nice.
But I'd rather not mention it on the live stream here because I don't want 50 people showing up.
Coronavirus.
Greg, I'm going to follow you, okay?
So we're all posted now on using YouTube Live instead of Facebook Live, which has been shared to our Facebook group. So sorry, folks, that it took so long to get everything going. I tested everything out last night outside here, and I have a wired network, but I don't know, something's wrong with my computer tonight, even though we've done this before and I've never had any issues. But we have with us tonight, our panel here is Greg McKay, who's our former president of the Las Vegas Astronomical Society. We have Jerry Stein, our treasurer. We have Antoine Grelin, who is of the YouTube channel Galactic Hunter, and I think it's galactic-hunter.com is your address, right?
Yep.
And I don't know if you've ever seen him and his wife. They do some wonderful astrophotography adventure type YouTube content that's really nice. And he's been featured in Orion's catalog and OPT, Oceanside Photo and Telescope, I think is sponsoring you now.
Yeah.
And then we also have Julian Shull with us, who's one of our regular volunteers at our star parties. He has the big 16-inch telescope that people like to crowd around. He's got one of them. Fred Rayworth has the other big 16-inch telescope. People like to line up big time around their telescopes. You need to stand on like a 8 to 10 foot ladder to get to the top of them. Still, my computer's still giving me some issues as far as like being at 100% CPU and being super slow. So thank God I have Greg and Antoine here to share their wonderful views, because I'm not sure I'm going to have much success sharing my screen. We are looking at Greg's screen right now. What you got going on, Greg?
Well, I'm still on M13, the globular cluster here that you can just barely make out in the center of the screen. I'll zoom in a little tighter to it here. So, am I still being shared right now?
You are.
Okay. Yeah, my guiding is not doing that great either. I did not set up my polar alignment at all when we started this evening. So you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, the exposures, it's 15-second exposures that it's taking, and it comes in, and about right now, yeah, the guide stayed pretty close on that one.
What you guys have to understand here is that these are live exposures here, which when you usually see these guys post beautiful professional astrophotography, you don't understand, you may not understand that it actually, those photos are composed of many photos that are combined digitally and processed through specific astrophotography processing software here. So you might be like wondering, oh, well, this doesn't look like what the finished product that I usually see. That is why, because this is a live image. It's what we call a subframe.
Yeah, I can show a couple of pictures. I don't know if we've got new people that have joined, but I can show a couple of the pictures that I showed earlier and explain a little bit of detail about them. So you should be seeing the Whirlpool Galaxy now. Yes?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
So this is, it's 30 minutes of luminance. So it's basically you shoot through a clear filter, a red filter, a green filter, and a blue filter in order to make a color image when you're shooting with a monochrome camera. So this is 30 minutes of luminance data, which is the clear filter, and then 1 hour of red, green, and blue each in order to...
So this one image is 3.5 hours of exposure time.
Right, yeah. And then this here is actually the exact same thing. It's 1 hour of luminance and then or 30 minutes of luminance, and then 1 hour of red, green, and blue. And this is actually, Antoine was talking earlier about shooting in the narrow band. This is a narrow band photo that I took. So this was actually shot through 1 hour of hydrogen alpha, 1 hour of sulfur, and 1 hour of oxygen to make a 3-hour exposure for this one here. So yeah, all those pretty photos that you see that look like this with the color and everything are there. It's a lot of work that goes into not just the capture, but the processing afterwards.
That's M16, the Eagle Nebula there, right?
Yeah, this is the Eagle Nebula. I don't know why it won't let me zoom in on it.
Got the pillars of creation in there. Ooh, there's your telescope.
Yeah, I was trying to get it to let me zoom in, but it won't let me zoom in any closer. Huh. Not sure why. It lets me zoom in on the other photos.
Yeah, I saw you zooming in before. Technology. There's M20, the Trifid Nebula.
Yeah.
And the first one he had was M51, the Whirlpool Galaxy.
Yeah,
That-
I was going to try to shoot the Whirlpool Galaxy, but between setting in the Vegas light pollution plus all of the clouds that we've got tonight, that's a no-go.
Yeah, it was really supposed to be a lot clearer tonight, but these clouds are really no good.
Yeah.
It was actually much better last night. And last night was supposed to be bad, and tonight was supposed to be good.
It's always like that.
Yeah, unbelievable. But yeah, M51 that he was showing, that's over in Ursa Major, which is the constellation that is the Big Dipper. And then the other ones were looking towards near Sagittarius, which is looking towards the center of our galaxy, for people that were trying to put those into context. My computer looks like it's like calming down now. Let me see if we have any questions. Oh, thanks, Theo. I guess you posted the link too. I didn't realize that. I see he posted the YouTube Live link. We've got a number of attendees with us tonight over Zoom and on YouTube Live. I just had with the what you call it, Facebook earlier. I just pulled the plug. I'll be right back.
You pulled the plug on the whole feed? So Antoine, earlier in the year, I managed to capture Omega Centauri from the Mojave National
Oh,
Preserve.
it was you. Yes, I saw it. Nice.
6 degrees above the horizon.
You're crazy.
I
never tried.
posted that photo on a couple of forums, and people were like just commenting about how crazy it was that I even tried to photograph that. So I shot it in LRGB, and I only shot 15 minutes because I wanted to get it as close to the meridian as possible, as high off the ground as it could be. And
It was great though.
yeah.
What?
Omega Centauri, the big globular cluster down in Centaurus.
One of the first times I went to Stellafane, there was a group of guys there who had photographed Omega Centauri from Cape Cod.
From Cape Cod? How is that even possible?
Cod. You have to have perfect conditions with seeing right down to the horizon. It's got to be the right date when Omega Centauri is at its highest. And then Omega Centauri is just below the horizon, but because of the Earth's gravity, the light is bent just enough to get a picture of it. And I saw a picture of it.
Holy cow.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you got to be thinking a lot to do that.
He's crazy, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Arthur Eddington would be proud.
That's a nice picture of M13. Is that what you're doing now, Greg?
Yeah, that's the live image coming in now.
That's very nice.
Yeah, it's come out really nice.
Looks clear, yeah.
Are you able to zoom in on that some?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
see,
can
you
zoom
can
it.
see the propeller.
Let's see. I'll go in 100% here. And so,
You see the noise.
yeah, you can definitely see the noise when it's 105 degrees outside like it is.
Right.
Yeah.
I think my cooling is, I don't even know if I've got the cooling. Yeah, I've got the cooling turned on, and it's cooled down to ambient temperature. It's not going below ambient right now. It's still hot.
I see.
So this is the propeller here, right? This,
I think so. It's the three-bladed propeller. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
that's it.
If
I
I
do
zoom in,
assume that's fireworks, but who knows?
if I zoom in beyond 100%. So this little area right here, they call the propeller.
Right.
And in really good multiple stacked exposures or whatever, this is a very distinct brightness that makes it look like a three-bladed propeller.
Yeah. Yes, actually, yeah. It's actually dark in between the stars there.
You know,
Yeah.
I took a picture of M13 a month ago, and I cannot see it on my final image. I think it's just too bright, I guess.
The most
I think
profound
there's
I've
a
seen-
limit. Like if you do more than 15 or 20 minutes worth of exposures, it just kind of gets blown out. But
Yeah, mine is
That's
gone.
true. I think the best I've seen is in my friend's 16-inch Cassegrain telescope.
well, I might be able to get M92 in.
Sure.
It's nearby, so
That's right.
let me go over to M92 here. Let's see. Should have an exposure coming in here in a second. Oh, a little bit off center, but it's there.
Not bad. It's got a little tighter,
Not bad at all.
more condensed core.
Yeah, I'll just plate solve it here real quick, and it'll center it back up.
What do you use for your plate solving? Is that built into PixInsight or anything like that, or
No, this is built into SharpCap Pro.
SharpCap Pro?
I use, I use SharpCap Pro for pretty much everything. It's got the Pro version, which only costs like an extra $15 or whatever. Has a polar alignment feature that's to me better than see it just plate solves. So now it's going to center. So the next exposure coming in should have that centered up. It's better than, I forget what the name of the little physical camera is that mounts on the polar axis of the scope. Polemaster?
That's what I
Yeah.
have.
Oh, right, for the polar alignment.
Yeah,
If-
to me, the
there it goes.
polar alignment feature in SharpCap Pro is more accurate.
Oh,
So there it is. And then the plate solve feature, you see it just plate solved it and centered up. So I can crank up the exposure a little, or crank up
for
the
folks wondering what plate solving is, it's like if you could think of a star pattern as like a fingerprint, it's very unique as far as the distances stars have between each other and angles. And so the computer can figure out where in the sky you're pointing based upon the star patterns it sees in the picture. And then it can correct the telescope's pointing model so that it can center things exactly if you're a little off. If anyone's ever heard of the Celestron Star Sense thing that you can hook up to Celestron telescopes, that's doing plate solving internally to give it your telescope an alignment.
Yeah, I just turned my guider on, so maybe this next image will be a little sharper.
I'd just be happy with a motorized focuser.
Yeah, I need
Well,
one.
I've got that too, and guess what? SharpCap controls it as well.
I know. I saw that.
There's my focuser control here. Controls the filter wheel. Basically, it does everything.
Yeah.
It has an auto under tools. It has a focus assistant, so you've got different focus methods. I've played around with it a little bit, but I haven't had a lot of luck with it. I generally just focus manually. Or I say manually. I put it on a nearby bright star and use the batten off mask, and then I use the remote control here in SharpCap to
It,
line up
it,
the batten off mask.
is just trying to focus from the top of an 8-foot ladder while looking at this at the computer screen on the table about 10 feet away.
Well, you see, that's why that's what you need to get the Pegasus Astro and a little mini computer mounted on the scope, and then you can control it from your iPad, and you can hold your iPad in your hand right next to the focus.
I think I need a German equatorial mount that will run that 16-inch telescope. Now, maybe that's the next project.
There you go. That would be a heck of a project.
In a plain way, those fork mounts.
I don't think I would do a gem. I think I would do a English yoke or something. That'd be more practical.
Yeah.
Hey, just want to remind folks that on the Zoom here, we have a Q&A section at the bottom of the Zoom meeting if you want to ask a question. And if I could ever, I can check my phone. If you want to post questions on the YouTube live stream on the Facebook post in there, I can also check them on my phone. So we can field your questions if you want. Go ahead. I'm going to see if there's any right now. Actually, there's probably quite a few things going on in here.
I'm going to go polar line real quick. It's dark enough now. Be like 2 minutes.
Okay.
Since my frames are all like super blurry, so I'm gonna do a quick polar line.
You can see in this shot here the clouds kind of rolling through.
Yeah.
Every time
yeah.
Every time it updates, it'll update again here in about 4 seconds, and you'll probably see a different cloud pattern or a different haze here. Yep.
Luckily, they're thin clouds.
Yep.
Yep.
That's pretty decent.
I was looking to see if there was a bright star visible. I don't know how technical you want to get, Keith, but I could show how the Batinoff mask works and how it focuses. But
oh yeah, that's fine too. If people are wondering what that is, if you need really good focus, this mask really makes it easy when you point it at a star. It uses diffraction, which is it's part of optical physics, like the way light enters a telescope and the way it gets reflected around. And if you ever see those like spikes that come off of a bright star, those are called diffraction spikes, and they really come from like the holder that you might have in the middle of a telescope that's holding the secondary mirror. Telescopes that don't have a secondary mirror like that don't have those spikes on the star. But when you put one of these masks on the star, which is what Greg's trying to show you here, it really lets these diffraction artifacts really help you get a precise focus.
I'm going to see if I can see Vega. Now, Vega is behind my roof. So there's one star that's above here. I'm trying to figure out which star it is. It's fairly close to the moon. So not the greatest thing in the world, but.
Terry's over there.
Greg, when you use the Batinoff mask with your program there, what cap or something. I've got another program I'm using called Astro Imager, and that has works with the Batinoff mask too. And I haven't tried it yet. I just was reading in the manual the other night, but I'm going to. That when you're on one side of focus, it makes the couple of the lines green, and then when you go to the other side of the focus, they turn blue or something like that.
Oh.
Or maybe it's green when you're in the middle.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to crank up the gain here so I can do shorter exposures and see. I did a meridian flip here, so and since I didn't do polar alignment, it did not go to Arcturus the way I wanted it to. So I'm going to just do a real quick plate solve and it'll go to it here. Hopefully I can plate solve off of these few little stars that are showing up through the clouds here.
What are you looking for? In 57?
No, I'm looking for Arcturus, just a bright
Oh.
star that's actually
Oh,
peeking out,
okay.
peeking out through the clouds right now, so I can show how the Batinoff mask actually works. So,
Oh, okay. That's good. That's good.
let's see. All right, so now the telescope. Are you seeing the telescope now?
Yes.
Okay, so this is Arcturus. It's a fairly bright star that's visible in the sky. I'm going to crank up the gain so that I can lower my shutter speed down to about 1.5 seconds here. Let's see what that does. So this is what the star looks like, and I'm going to purposely take it out of focus. So I'm going to go 200 clicks out of focus. And then let's see, let me turn sharing off for a second. So I'm going to hold the Batinoff mask up. I don't know if you can see the pattern. I'm really in the dark here. So I think that's a good shot there.
That is excellent.
All right, so this is just a real thin piece of plastic that's got this pattern and cut into it. So I'm going to go put this over the end of the telescope, and then we'll go back to looking at what the image looks like through the telescope. All right, I am back. Let me share my screen again. And so now we're seeing a close-up of Arcturus, and it's created these three artificial spikes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to really crank the focus way out. I'm going to go to like 54,000 steps here.
Look in the cloud area. You can kind of see the Batinoff pattern before when it was focused anyways.
Yeah.
You could see the Batinoff pattern in the haze.
There's those lines, by the way, you know, obviously you see most of them are half of them are straight, and the others are at 20-degree angles to the left and right of that.
Yeah, so I'm going to zoom in really close here onto the just the star that we're trying to focus on. And you can see there's like two equal distance like spikes that are kind of going off, one from the left and one from the right here. And then you've got one that's going down the center here. What you want to do is you want to adjust your focus so that that center spike is going right down the middle, split the middle here. So if I go to 55,000, you'll see it start to move to the right here as I'm focusing.
Can you lower the gain on your camera, or maybe?
Yeah, I can lower the gain. Let's see.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah, that looks a little better. So when you start getting real critical focus, you want to zoom in on it really tight and maybe bring the gain or the exposure down even more. Because as you can see, this spike, even though it looks like it's splitting the difference, it's still a little bit to the right. So that's when you get into like real critical focus. So I'm going to go in little tiny steps, 10 steps at a time here. And it's very slowly moving to the left. And then you have to wait. Once you make an adjustment, you have to wait for the next exposure to come in.
See, a lot of us have manual focusers on our telescope, but Greg's got a motorized one that he can control right from the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you can see now, the spike is almost perfectly splitting. The center spike is almost perfectly splitting the two on the left and right hand side. So that's when you know you're in critical focus. So that's the way a Batinoff mask works. So now you would lock your focus down. And then before you start your 5-minute or 10-minute exposure, of course, you want to do like I have done multiple times, and that is leave the Batinoff mask on.
What does that look like? Must be an interesting photo.
A good friend of mine, you might have heard of him, Rob Gendler.
I've heard you talking about. He's a professional astrophotographer.
He's not professional. He's a radiologist by day.
Has any published books though of astrophotography?
Oh, he's published several books. He's also in the Guinness Book of World Records.
I consider that professional.
51, M31. Sorry, he takes and puts string, a thread across the front of his telescope in like a spider veins, and what that it'll cause diffraction spikes But by doing that, he says he's putting some of that energy into the direction spikes and keeping the stars from being so bloated.
Really?
Yeah.
I never heard of that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So it makes the circle of the star smaller, but then they'll have a diffraction spike.
That's
on the
right.
outside.
That's right. Yeah. Of course,
That's
if
interesting.
he's using he's not using a refractor or a Schmidt-Cassegrain, he doesn't have that problem.
Right. No, even the Hubble Space Telescope has diffraction
yeah.
spikes.
Yeah,
So
I
does the
love it so
Keck
much.
telescope.
It's hard to get away from it.
Yeah.
You
You can
need
only
a
make
window.
refractors so big.
Or you need a window.
Oh, right. Yeah, like a clear optical glass that holds your
Yeah,
secondary.
clear optical. A friend of mine did that on his 8-inch Newtonian. He put an optical window on it.
Oh, there's the moon. Oh, beautiful.
Oh, it's clear. Yeah. I was trying to pull a
Oh,
line right now, but Polaris is full of
There's
clouds.
the live view has a ton of haze in front of it, so I'm glad
I
Greg's
didn't hear Anton.
What?
I didn't hear what you just said.
I was trying to pull a line right now, but Polaris is behind the clouds, so I couldn't.
Oh, yeah.
You're welcome to show some images that you've done recently too. It's not exactly a great sky quality tonight, unfortunately. It was supposed to be much better than this. But your professional photos are probably a lot more. I know that hours go into making them. They're certainly going to look better than any live photo, especially any live photo created tonight. It's really.
Yeah, if anybody wants to take over, I'll dump out of sharing here.
A few pictures if you guys want.
Yeah, please. I wish I could share, but my computer is still at 100% CPU, and I can hardly. There was some. Thank God you guys are here because you're saving my bacon because I can't share anything right now.
Let's see. Share screen.
Oh, this has been very nice.
One thing I like about the Zoom webinar, the very first streaming event I did use that OBS software, which is really nice. It's really powerful, but it runs everything on your computer and it's intensive. And with everything else going, it's nice to like offload the actual streaming stuff to Zoom and let them handle that. And, that's the fact that Zoom's handling that, even though my computer is like acting up, I think the live stream is actually working pretty well because, Zoom's offloading all that work and your guys' individual computers are still working. So it's one nice thing.
Keith, you almost need two computers. It's one for to run the meeting and the other one to run your computer.
Yeah, I've never had this problem until now. I got to figure out what's going wrong, but make sure I can solve it for the next event. I bet it's this USB hub that I never used before.
That could very well be it.
Yeah.
And the USB, that's not going to be as fast as Wi-Fi. If you get Wi-Fi,
I got a lot of accessories. It's a USB 3 hub, but I have a lot of accessories connected through it, and I'm wondering if it's having some kind of issue related to a driver issue where it's taking 100% of the CPU or something like that.
Right.
Well, my image of the moon here is getting ready to be eclipsed by my bushes.
Okay.
It's if you see the exposure kind of wavering here, it's because of the wind blowing the leaves on one of the bushes here in and out of the frame.
The moon is so high though.
I've been at Death Valley and like watched something coming up in the east, and I'll get like palm fronds going through it because they have all those date palms out there.
Yeah.
And as the telescope's tracking, as it rises, I'll like start going through palm fronds and just get all these weird artifacts on the screen from their shadows.
I have my neighbor's chimney, which is so.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to do the meeting online week after next.
Yep, and Pranvera Haisini will be with us as our presenter at the Thursday meeting, 7:30 p.m. again on Zoom webinar.
Now, wait a minute. Is that this Thursday?
That's this Thursday, July 2nd, 7:30 p.m. Pacific.
Excellent.
Is she back home now?
No, she's in Australia. She's stuck there from the pandemic. Kosovo is not allowing people to return because they're afraid they'll bring back infection with them. And so she's basically stuck in Australia, and she was accepted to go. I believe she's accepted to study planetary science in it's one of the California schools. I can't remember which one, but she wanted to come here, but she needs to go back home to apply for her US visa, her student visa, to come back here. And so she's not sure what she's going to do because she's like stuck in Australia. She can't go back home to apply for a visa. Maybe the school will let her start the semester online. But yeah, she's going to be joining us from Australia. So it'll be 7:30 our time, and I think it'll be 12:30 p.m. her time on Friday. It'll be 7:30 Thursday for us. She's 17 hours ahead of us.
Yeah. So Keith, you have a question here. Chris McCall is asking, saying his 90-year-old grandmother is watching and wants to see a nebula. Unfortunately, Chris, between the moonlight and the clouds, I don't know that there's going to be any nebulas that are visible right now.
Let's just show them one of the ones you've taken in the past.
Well, okay. I mean, I can do that.
Yeah. And if I could share, I actually was out here pretty late last night. I actually got the Lagoon Nebula, I got the Eagle Nebula, I got the Trifid Nebula.
Are you seeing that?
Nebula.
Are you seeing my nebula now, or is it still the screen?
I can't see it yet, but my computer's slow.
All right.
No, I'm just seeing the moon. There you go. I see Keith. Hi, Keith.
Hey,
Okay, let me share a different source here. It's weird the way
I
the
should
sharing
change my
feature
name. It
works.
says
Okay.
admin. Rename myself here.
Okay, so
Perfect.
you should be seeing the Trifid Nebula now. Yes?
That's it.
Yes.
Yes,
indeed.
there it is. Very nice.
All right, so this is for Chris's grandmother. So this is the Trifid Nebula. It's in the constellation Sagittarius, which is about due south right now in the sky. If it wasn't blocked by clouds and my next door neighbor's home, I'd be happy to show it to you live. The live picture would not look anything like this. This is a 3.5 hour exposure through 3 different filters. So it's there's a lot more to this than what you see with the naked eye or when you look at this object through the telescope. And then this is the Eagle Nebula. And it's letting me zoom in now. So let's see if I can zoom in.
Yes.
So this part is very famous. The Hubble took one of its first photographs. What was it, 25 years ago or 30 years ago? However long the Hubble's
30
been up.
years, yeah.
This is called the Pillars of Creation. So they recently took a picture of this using X-ray too, I believe, or doing some other filter, and you can actually see inside this dark cloud. You can see stars being born in there. So this is.
I read somewhere that's like 7,500 light years away, and there has been a supernova that has gone off that we have not seen yet that has destroyed that. Somehow or another, we have evidence of that supernova explosion from something else.
I've
Yeah.
read the same thing. Yeah. They think that a shockwave from that supernova might have blown this gas around by now, but the light from that event hasn't reached us yet. The light from the supernova's reached us, but
No, it hasn't.
From what I read, my understanding is that we've seen the supernova, which is not in this cloud. It's off to the side somewhere. And they've calculated the speed of that shock wave, that by the time the supernova's light has reached us, they figure that the shock wave from that supernova has expanded into this nebula and disrupted it. Not
Sure, but the supernova's shot, the light hasn't reached us yet. Yes or no?
The supernova that you're talking about, the light would have reached us. Otherwise, we couldn't know that it happened.
Well, I'm not sure I agree with that because they can see other things being affected by that. That's what I thought I understood.
Yeah, but
I
wouldn't,
could be
wouldn't the
wrong.
light, wouldn't the light be in front of anything that's being affected? I mean,
Not
nothing-
necessarily, not if it's behind it or beside it, and further away. Yeah, how would we know?
Yeah, I was
Well,
just saying, like, we
saw
couldn't
something
know about it unless the
closer
light
to
had
the
stress.
supernova that was disrupted, then you would know something, that was an event that happened. There hasn't been any bright supernovas in the Milky Way in 400 years.
yeah.
That is true. That is true. There hasn't been a. Yeah. How would they know that there was a supernova? If they
Yeah, the
didn't
last
see
one
it?
was a crab.
You're right. There hasn't been any. We're well overdue for a nice bright supernova, but yeah,
Yeah.
we haven't had one in a long time.
I photographed 2 in one night
I don't know
recently.
how they could have known about it.
Yeah, but those are other galaxies.
Yeah, still.
Yeah, but still, that's cool. That's cool. I've seen
I love
3 in one
photographing
night
those.
in the 16-inch, but that's pretty rare. I haven't
Yeah.
seen one in a couple of years now. The last one I saw, Keith photographed it. He couldn't see it in his 8-inch, but he got a beautiful picture of it.
Yeah, I couldn't see it with the eyepiece, but I looked at it in your scope. I could see it, but on the 8-inch, I was able to get a photo of it.
There's a
Yeah.
couple other questions. You want me to answer them, Keith?
Yeah, go right ahead. I was just looking at that.
So Melissa is asking how a beginner figures out the name of a star. So the easiest thing to do is Sky Safari on your phone or a tablet. There's several apps you can download, and in the old days we used a planisphere, which was just a cardboard dial that the stars rotated in. But nowadays everybody uses an app and everything's electronic. But Sky Safari is a really good one. There's a free version of that you can download.
Stellarium is free too.
Stellarium is free. Yeah, there's
For your computer, it's
there's
free.
several out there. If you
Skyview and Sky Guide are also decent ones, and they're free.
yeah,
There's another
so
one I used.
that's what I would start with. Go out on a night not like tonight when the stars are actually visible and it's not as cloudy.
Star Walk's pretty good too. It's another app I have.
So there's another question I think that was kind of specifically for me here. Adriana was asking if do you manually add to the coloring in a photo editing software, or is this the natural filter color? Well, let me go back to sharing that screen again, Adriana, and I'll answer that question and talk a little bit about it here. I'm trying to get something minimized here. So this picture here is not natural color. Oh, let me go back. I'm trying to go here and zoom in. So this picture was taken through, now it won't let me zoom in. Taken through 3 filters. They're called narrowband filters. They image in a spectrum of light that the human eye doesn't really see or can't discern. So this is considered completely artistic. If you Google the M16 Eagle Nebula narrowband, you'll find probably 500 different versions of colors of this picture here. But let's see, let me go to the next one. This one is the Trifid Nebula, very nearby the last one. But this one was taken with red, green, and blue filters. So this is considered a natural color. If the naked eye could actually see the color, even though we can't because it's so faint, but if you could see the color, this is what it would look like. So hopefully that answers that question. All right, everybody got real quiet. Somebody else take over.
That's
Nicely
cool.
done. Antoine, did you have those photos you wanted to share?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Cool.
I can do that. Let's see. So interesting ones.
The sky's pretty hazy tonight, so we're kind of like showing some recent work instead of trying to take something live through these thin clouds that are pretty much covering the whole sky here. There's only
Actually,
a few openings.
We're getting a pretty good break right now, at least I am. So while Antoine's showing his pictures, I'm gonna look for a different target.
Sure. I'm in the Northwest. You're what, in Henderson?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got some holes.
So last December, I went to a dark site, the Bottle 1 zone, and I took a picture of the Witch Head Nebula. This is a single frame, which is a very faint nebula.
Wow.
But while I was doing my test shot, I saw this light, this light ray from a super bright star, Rigel, right here. And I was like, either I aim a bit down so I don't have this ray anymore, or I keep it there and try to make it unique. And so I was like, you know what, let's be crazy. So I just kept it there for the whole night. And in the end, the picture looked like this. So you can see it's all like purplish blue. The witch head here. This is the nose, the mouth, the eye of the witch head, and the super crazy bright star Rachel is right out of the frame here, which is why there's so much light coming right here from the camera angle. And so it was a risk because I'm like, people won't like this much because this thing crazy, this
I think it's cool.
I think it looks great.
Like, for one picture, why not? Let's just be crazy.
Sure. It's a good picture of the witch head, though.
Yeah, it's a pretty hard target. It's super faint, super faint. And then I was going to show you M13, how bright it is when you spend too much time on it. Like this was 4 hours.
Whoa.
Like, you cannot see more what you were talking about earlier. There's no shape here because it's just so bright.
Yeah.
But there's a galaxy right here, which was nice surprise.
Oh, galaxy.
Yeah, and there's another one right here. You can see it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and right here. There's a bunch of
That's
them.
cool.
Oh, my gosh. Double deep field.
Yeah.
Bunch of little
Talking about
galaxies.
that, I think.
You can almost count those stars in M13 and see if they really are a million there.
Yeah, I was trying to make them so crisp, but it's a pain because it's
That is beautiful.
let's see
That's
what
gorgeous.
we have. I think M59 was pretty. Oh wait, let me go back actually to other one key. This one here has a bunch of galaxies everywhere. This is M60 and this is M59. Those are really boring galaxies because it's just elliptical, so it's just so bright and there's no detail in it. But what's interesting is that there's so many galaxies everywhere around it. Like it's in Virgo, so it's a really busy area.
Is that in the Virgo?
Yes, it's not far from Magellan's chain, so there's a bunch of galaxies everywhere. And I like M60 because if you look closely, you can see there's an NGT galaxy right here, which is a spiral galaxy, which I guess Charles Messier picked up when he was looking at it. But it's just
detail.
There's another one over on the left there.
Yeah, there's just so many of them.
Nice work.
Around the light.
And then why not look at, let's see, where's Magellan's chain? This one, I was trying to get M87 in it, which is this bright galaxy here. This one in the Hubble telescope picture, you can see a trail from the black hole because there's a crazy black hole in the center, and there's a long tail in Hubble's picture. But of course, with amateur equipment, it's really hard to get. But here, once again, there's just so many galaxies. Like there must be like maybe 30, 40 visible right here, and it's just nice. This is called the eyes. Those 2 galaxies here, because they look like eyes.
Oh,
wow!
wow,
Look at
that's
that dark
incredible.
lanes there. That is bizarre.
Really nice detail.
I've seen the eyes visually, but I've never seen a photograph of them.
Yeah, there's so much. This spiral arms are so crazy on this one.
Yeah, there's a lot of other stars in it that are interacting with something there, and there's that dark material, dark nebula there.
It looks like that other galaxy probably passed near it and disrupted the spiral arms of it and kind of tore it apart.
I wonder if that's a black hole.
Yeah,
that's very interesting. And that's in Virgo also, isn't it?
Yes, it's also in Virgo. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. I don't know the NGC numbers, but I did know them as the eyes. Didn't know there was another set of eyes somewhere else. You don't have a picture of Stephen's quintet, do you?
Of what?
Stephen's quintet.
Oh, I don't have it yet. I was trying to do it, but I missed it last year. So I'm going to try to do it next time.
That's
Yeah.
an incredible photo, Antoine.
This is
I-
Fucci.
I actually saw those visually in a 16-inch telescope.
Oh, Stephen? Oh, I bet, yeah.
Well, not exactly. It was on Mauna Kea under a full moon, and this guy had a $4,000 Collins electronic eyepiece. He put in a 16-inch LX200. Oh,
Oh,
my
wow.
God, was that something?
Yeah. Did you see the other one too? There's a bright one not far. There's a bright galaxy not far from the quintet. No?
No, I didn't see it. I saw the 5 and Stephen's quintet.
Because if you look at Stephen's quintet, there's a very bright one that I'm trying to get. Let's see if we can see it here.
Yeah, those things are real faint, though. I don't think I can see them in my 16-inch without some kind of
This one.
electronic.
NGC 7331. See, it's huge and it's right
I
there.
think the brightest one's like a magnitude 14.
It's not too far, but I want to see that one too.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is M106.
Oh, that's nice.
Wow, that's
Just-
really nice.
It's interesting because there's so much HA in it.
You get a lot of good detail.
You
Yeah.
really do.
I did this one with just regular LGB, and then I came back to it I think 2 weeks later to add HA to it, and it was really worth it because there's so much HA in the arms.
Get all the star creation areas. All
Yeah,
the red spots there.
just so
HA,
much.
hydrogen, and alpha for the folks that may not know. That's red colors that indicate star creation.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
everywhere, the red color. Like this galaxy, this nebula, for example, is full of HA. It's everywhere. Normally this would be like all red, but with narrowband filters, it becomes blue/orange. But there's just so much red normally all around because it's full of HA.
What is that? Is that
Beautiful shots.
The
the
rosette.
helix?
No, that's a rosette nebula.
Oh, the rosette. Okay.
The helix is that one here. That's the helix.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty.
The eye of God. I
Yeah.
was trying to get the outer gas over here, but that was kind of difficult. But in the end, it worked out.
Yeah, because the helix is so close to the horizon most of the time.
Yeah, it's difficult to get. Yeah, it's really looking amazing. And then last time,
I can see it in 16-inch, but it's not.
yeah, I was because I have a friend who has a scope in the South Hemisphere, and he sent me his data for Centaurus A, so I processed it, and it's just so nice. I couldn't get it myself. He just sent me all his raw files. I just put it all together, but you can see all the details in here. Like there's so much star formation too here, like all the reds in the
Wow.
galaxy, and that's only visible in the South Hemisphere. So, but that's
That's
just
incredible.
Not just the Southern Hemisphere. I've seen it.
you did. Oh, super low, guys, with Omega Centauri.
Yeah.
It's pretty close, huh? Yeah. I was trying to find it. It's just too low for me. I couldn't find it.
Well, I couldn't see it from anywhere around here in the valley, but down in the Mojave National Preserve, about an
Okay.
hour south, we were able to grab it.
Okay. Yeah, I need to try that.
That's gorgeous, man.
Mm.
Yeah, Keith, if you wanted to show, not sure what you wanted to show earlier, but
Yeah,
Keith?
these photos that he's showing they take hours and hours to do. It's like
Right.
hours of exposure time, hours of processing time. It's not something you can produce live. It's just
Right.
gorgeous, gorgeous work here.
It's an art form in itself and a
Really,
labor of love.
yeah.
they're beautiful, and that's the Greg and Antoine here know what it takes to.
Yeah, Antoine, you do beautiful work, man. Really appreciate you sharing.
Here's the witch head again with Rigel right here, as you can see in Whitefield.
Oh yeah.
The Rigel is pretty close. So my framing was like this, and still I had the crazy glow from Rigel.
How
So,
bright is that? What's the
I think
magnitude on the witch head?
Maybe 3? I don't know. Actually, I'm curious now. It's the magnitude. From 0.05 to 0.8. Oh, minus 7.84? No. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, no, 0.13. Wow.
8.
Or 6, actually. I think it's this one. I don't even know.
Oh,
Rigel, let me check.
It's super bright.
It's
Well,
a
that's
super
right.
bright star.
Its apparent magnitude ranges from 0.05 to 0.18. That's crazy. So it's kind of like Vega.
it's a variable star.
Yeah.
It's a double too. I've got from Sky Safari. It says 0.28.
It's a triple star, actually.
Oh, really? And then the companion here it lists as 6.8. It's a triple. It doesn't list that in Sky Safari. Interesting.
Really? I thought Raj would be a first magnitude star.
So here
Zero,
you can
0.28 is the primary. So yeah, that's definitely
Oh, 0.2. Right.
yeah. Right
So
at
that's
the first magnitude.
right.
M42 in Whitefield, and you can also see it. What is it? You can also see it, with a telescope. So this picture here was without a telescope, just a camera lens, and this picture here was with a telescope. So you can see the difference in framing.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Was that the down on the right of the lowest star? I see the horse head.
The horse head here, yes.
Yeah, right in there. You barely see it there. That's
I'm actually working on a new horse head nebula. This was my old one from my DSLR, which I hate now. I feel like it's super old now. So I'm working on the new one, which is going to take me like 2 years.
Oh, that's beautiful. I saw that for the first time last year, the 16-inch visually.
Wow.
I've been looking for it for 25 years.
Could you see the frame or? Because
What's that?
it's so bright, just washes out everything. No?
Yeah, Julian, you have to get Alnitak just outside the field of view.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh, okay. I've been laying on the desk. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to get all the messy objects, so at some point I'll be done with them.
Nice. Well, gentlemen, it's past my bedtime. I think I'm going to sign off.
Past your bedtime? I thought you were an astronomer.
No, only when we go away.
Good to hear from you, Julian.
Julian.
Good to see you guys too. I look forward to seeing you on Thursday.
Sounds good, man.
You too.
Yeah. See
Thank
you
you.
in
Thanks,
the
everybody.
wood meeting then. And
Good evening.
look forward-
Take care.
Maybe we do it again.
Take care, man.
I'll be able to do something in the 16-inch outside. Au revoir.
Very cool. Yeah. Take care. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And here's the last one. Heart nebula.
Well,
Which
I really wanted to share something, but my computer is just not cooperating with me tonight. So I think we're gonna
I
end it
managed.
for tonight unless you gotta. Oh, yeah, sure. If you got something, I'm willing to keep going by all means.
I managed to get M4 in the shot here.
Ooh.
So let me
Oh,
go
I
back.
know that before because there's so much nebulosity around it.
Yeah, well, we're not seeing any nebulosity
Yeah.
tonight. Let me get the live view going here. There we go. So we're seeing clouds. Does that count as nebulosity?
Let's say yeah.
Atmospheric nebulosity. Cool.
So this is well, this will be a 10-second exposure coming in here in a couple of seconds.
Oh, Douglas is here.
So this is a live view. of M4. This is a globular cluster that is really, really close to Antares, the heart of Scorpius.
Mhm.
In fact, I'm surprised it's not in my field of view. It's, well, I forget which scope I'm using here. Yeah, it's a little bit outside the field of view for Antares. In my finders, in my guide scope, I think that's actually Antares off. Is my guide scope showing now, or is it still showing sharp cap?
I see sharp cap.
Yeah.
Antares, I could see it with M4 when I was doing it at 344 millimeter focal length with a small refractor. So it's kind of far, but it's still in the perimeter.
I was thinking if I could see M4, there's probably somebody earlier, Chris, I believe, was asking for a nebula, but, and I know there's a lot of nebulas around there, but M4 is right now just skirting my neighbor's roof. So let me see. What's one of the higher nebulas?
You could try the blue horsehead, but it's kind of faint.
The Eagle. Let me see if I can find the Eagle. I think the Eagle is going to be behind my neighbor's roof, but we'll go to it and see here. So the telescope is moving now.
The motors are pretty quiet. Mine are a lot louder.
No, that's my neighbor's roof. That's what I was afraid of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's not much around because I think M16 is the first one to rise in the whole Milky Way band. So
yeah. I'm going to stand up and look behind my scope and see how long it's going to be before. Sounds like you're ready to call it a night, though. Yeah, it's at least another probably 45 minutes before M16 rises above my neighbor's roof. So unfortunately, that's all I've got.
we need to do this on a clear night. It'll be fun.
Yeah, yeah. You know, Greg had an idea. Like it sounded like you, if it wasn't that windy and it was a better night, that you could still get decent internet out there in Lake Mead somewhere.
Yeah, I was going to try to go out to the I don't know what the loop is called there, the Lake Mead Boulevard, that kind of loops around from Lake Mead all the way around to Boulder City. The Longview Overlook or the Sunset View Overlook. Both of those locations, I have really good cell service. And I was thinking about going there tonight, but I saw all these clouds and this wind rolling in. So
Good thing you didn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't even sure if we were going to go live tonight. I didn't want to drive all the way out there in the middle of nowhere and set up.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. I like what Antoine's got. He's got that awesome filter. What is it called? The triad quad or quad triad? What that it lets you take a pretty nice nebula photos right from your backyard. It's like a quadruple narrowband filter in one.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool filter. If you have a 100 color camera and you still want to do narrowband, this one is probably the best one on the market right now. It's really expensive, like $1,000.
Yeah, it is
allows
pricey.
you to take narrowband images with a 100 color camera with crazy details. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some of the nebula photos you've gotten from your backyard, and I just can't believe it.
Because usually, I mean, if you have a mono camera with filters, just do that. I mean, you don't need to have the triad.
I only do color cameras because, usually all my photos are meant to be like real-time astrophotography. I do one-shot color and I put a photo up on the screen for people at star parties. And so I'm all about speed. I can't take an hour to generate a photo. It's got to be within a few minutes. And that filter and a color DSLR.
Oh, it's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I think would be great. It's just really expensive. So
there's still some processing you have to do with that filter, though. You can't just, it's just not going to download live and be perfectly processed. Yes,
but I mean, to be honest, my single frames look fantastic too.
Yeah.
I was surprised by that too.
I've seen, yeah, it's not going to be like, none of my photos are like perfectly color corrected or anything like that. And you got noise because it's just a single frame. It's not even stacked.
Before
Yeah.
my battery terminates this event, I'm going to go ahead and check out. So
But you have
All
a
right,
good
Jerry.
night, Jerry.
take
Thank-
care, gents.
Thanks for joining. See you Thursday.
Yeah, take care.
Enjoy that aurora.
Probably gonna go soon because I haven't eaten dinner too. But
Yeah.
Uh,
I figured
I'm
we'd go a
gonna-
little later since it took so long to start up the stream.
Right.
Sorry, folks. I apologize for all the technical difficulties. I'll figure that out so we don't have another one of these issues with my computer causing problems for the live stream. And I can't even share. So yeah, sorry about that. So really want to thank Greg and Antoine for joining us tonight and providing all the content because I couldn't give you anything. You guys, the stars of the show tonight, really appreciate the helping out here.
I have one more thing to share before we leave.
Oh yeah, by all means. I'm not in a rush.
let me get back to where are we at here? I had minimized you guys. Oh, there we go. So let me share. Well, I think I have to open this first.
The moon is just a white blob now. I can't see any detail in it. It's completely covered.
So what are you seeing right now from me?
Some kind of image browser thing. Looks like,
Oh.
it's a Windows.
Okay, I gotta stop sharing that, and I gotta share another window. Sorry,
No worries.
I don't like the way it does that, but oh well.
Yeah, it's a Zoom thing. It's like one screen at a time.
Yeah. So that's
Ooh.
Centaurus A. You should be
Oh,
seeing now.
you got it. Nice.
Nice.
That's 15 minutes through luminance red, green, and blue. And then, other way. Let me scroll this way. There it is. So that's Omega Centauri.
It's crazy how it's just 15 minutes. I was really impressed by that.
I
Yeah.
don't see Omega Centauri. Oh, wow.
Yes.
So that thing, when I imaged it, was only 6 degrees above the horizon.
Does it ever go above 6
How-
degrees or was it maximum?
No, from where we were at, the maximum height right on the meridian was 6 degrees.
Oh,
How did you get it to look so good with so low in the sky?
It was a perfect night. We were out there setting up, and I had started doing some imaging on something else, and I noticed in my Sky Safari app that it said Omega Centauri was reaching the meridian, and I'm like, oh, well, let me see if I can see it.
Wow.
nice.
And so that's basically 1 hour of exposure time.
That's incredible. So for folks who are wondering what this is a globular star cluster, but it's the biggest one that we know about. There's like 1 million stars in this thing. And usually to see it good, you have to go towards the equator, to the southern hemisphere, because from the northern hemisphere, it never rises very high. Like Greg says, it's only 6 degrees above the horizon. And when you want to do astrophotography, you usually want to look up high because you're looking through less atmosphere. You're only looking through one thickness of the Earth's atmosphere. When you look out to the horizon, you're looking through thousands of miles of atmosphere, and the atmosphere messes with the light, and it doesn't usually look crystal clear like this. You have to get lucky. You need a very little turbulence in the atmosphere, and that's what he had here. This is an incredible. I would have guessed that you were shooting something like 60 degrees up in the air.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. I'm sure Antoine has probably a limit on the altitude of something that he'll shoot.
I do 20 degrees usually.
Yeah, 20 degrees or higher. Yeah, I usually do about 20 or 25 when I'm out. So.
25 sometimes.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with this too. My processing is not that great on it, but this is Centaurus A, the big gigantic. They call it the hamburger galaxy. The little dark rift through the middle here looks like the meat in a hamburger, and then you've got the 2 patties on either side of it. So.
Is that a dark lane that is associated with that galaxy itself, or
Yeah.
It is. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
You usually don't see a lot of these elliptical galaxies. They just look like big balls of light. There's like no detail, and that's what's really. It's really cool to see a big dark lane like that on an elliptical galaxy. They're usually so featureless.
That's spiral, no?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Antoine, what was that?
I think it's a spiral, no? The core
Is it? I thought Centaurus A was a
It's an elliptical.
an
Really?
elliptical.
Oh, interesting.
I thought it was an elliptical. I could be wrong.
I just guess the core
Let
was
me
Everybody-
check.
Everybody's Googling it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check Sky Safari really quick. I thought it was a elliptical. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, my computer sucks super.
We must find out immediately.
Centaurus A.
It is a spiral galaxy.
Okay.
It is.
I'm not quite
Yeah.
sure.
It looks like an elliptical.
Because the core was so bright. That's why.
Yeah, you're right. It does say it's
Like if
spiral.
you look at Hubble's picture, it just there's just so many details.
It's actually considered a lenticular galaxy.
Oh,
That's like somewhere in between, right?
yeah, it's
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
It says it's a peculiar lenticular galaxy in the constellation Centaurus, which appears to be an elliptical galaxy with a huge superimposed dust lane.
Also, I guess,
Huh.
I guess you're right then. It's more of an elliptical galaxy than a spiral.
Interesting.
Well,
I believe this is the galaxy that if you look at it under X-ray, it's got the huge jets coming out of it from the
Yeah.
black
Oh,
hole in the
nice.
center.
crazy.
Relativistic jets out of the supermassive black hole.
Yep.
That looks cool. Yeah. Sky Safari
Is it-
says it's a spiral too. So, but I've seen their catalog be wrong on several things.
Yeah.
It's
good question.
M81 and M82 still calls them Bode's Nebula, which is really an antiquated way of talking about a galaxy.
Yeah.
There's a
there's one more
from
question.
Anna here.
Oh, sure.
She's asking, how do you decide on how long the exposure time should be? So, for example, for me, it depends on the target, but usually if it's a cluster, because clusters are so bright and there's so many stars in them, I usually do 30 seconds only per frame. Because if you do longer than that, it might be blown out. So if you do like 5 minutes on a cluster, all the stars are going to be so blown out and blurry, and you don't want that. For nebulae, usually they're pretty faint and pretty spread out. So I usually try to do 5 minutes on nebulae, or sometimes even 10 minutes. It all depends on some statistics and numbers called ADU, but usually as a basic, I go for 5 minutes on nebulae. And galaxies, if it's a bright one like Andromeda, or if it's something with a bright core, I try to do 3 minutes, so it's not too blown out, and you can still see spiral details in the spiral arms. So that's where I start usually. 3 minutes galaxy, 30-second clusters, and 5 minutes nebulae.
Yeah,
There's
a lot of it depends on the object too. I mean, if it's a really faint nebula, like the Eagle nebula that I shot the other day, I was doing 60-second exposures on the broadband, which is the red, green, and blue, and then I was doing 3-minute exposures on the narrowband. So I probably could have pushed it to 5 minutes on the narrowband, but
You got to up it with the narrowband filters. You got to up your exposures, right?
well, yeah, but I mean, I don't know what broadband or narrowband filters Antoine's using, but mine are not the 3 nanometers. Mine are 5 nanometers, so they're not quite cutting out as much light as the 3 nanometers.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
used to
but-
do the stock 7-nanometer ones, and I used to do 5 minutes, but now with the 3-nanometer ones, I do 10 minutes. So there's a huge difference between the filter itself. So, but
Yeah.
narrowband usually requires more time. Usually.
And with me, I just, I usually I'm at our star parties just doing live photos with a color DSLR, no filters. And, it varies depending on your telescope too, whether what's called the focal ratio, that f/ number, the lower that number is, the shorter the exposures you can use. I'm usually shooting at f7, and I usually don't have filters in at our star parties unless it's a particularly bright night for some reason. But with my one-shot color camera, I'm usually doing anywhere from like you said, with star clusters, they're pretty bright. Usually you could do 30 seconds or so. For brighter nebulas, I could usually do 45 to 60 seconds to get a shot that I could show on the screen for people. For faint stuff, I've gone 60 to 90 seconds sometimes, but Usually I'm just doing things kind of quick and dirty, whereas they're trying to produce subframes for professional looking astrophotography. So I usually use shorter exposures, and I'm just sticking those on the screen really quick. So yeah, go ahead.
No, I just noticed, if you look at my image right now, you see this?
That bright spot.
This is my neighbor's latest addition to the light pollution of Las Vegas.
Oh no.
He used to have like one light out there that was on a motion sensor that would come on every once in a while, and he replaced it with 3 lights that are on all the time, dusk to dawn.
Oh
So,
boy.
Time to find a new
yeah.
house.
welcome to living 10 feet from your next door neighbor.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I'm talking about. Like, it's pretty.
I actually have if I'm out here just doing visual stuff and I want to have which I don't do very often, I have a piece of plywood, a 4x8 sheet of plywood, and I lean it up against the fence over there like that, and it kind of blocks my view from that light. So it's a shame
That's
we
a
have to
good
do that.
idea. That's a shame. Yeah, that's a real problem. By the way, I have an extra camera set up on my telescope tonight.
Oh, look at
if
that.
You guys can see that. So I got the gain and the exposure turned way up on it, but
Nice.
you could see my rig. It's not doing much for you guys tonight, but at least you can see it is set up. I wish I could have shown you some stuff. Computer is just not happy tonight.
All right, guys, I'm going to eat right now. I'm starving to death.
All right. I really appreciate you guys coming on tonight. You guys saved the show. You guys have a good night. Good night, everyone out there. If you have any more questions, just put them on to the Facebook post where this stream is shared, and I'll get them to you, get you some answers on those.
Sounds
Thanks,
good.
everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks.
All right, Keith. Good night.
Take care.